Hi guys, we're at Disneyland today to take you on a guided tour through the entire park. Where guests have been entering those turnstiles and greeted by Floral Mickey and the Disneyland Railroad since 1955, going on 70 years now. Unfortunately, Disneyland Railroad is closed at the moment. They're getting it ready for the 70th, as it were. But I assure you, when those walls come down, it's just as magical as you might hope it to be. Before we get into the format of this show, let's just take a walk. On the left, enter. You can enter on the left or on the right on the other side of the Disneyland Railroad train station. I almost always enter left and exit right. Well, exit left as you're coming out. And where we will have our ceremonial passage through the tunnels. And that famous sign there. By the way, let me mention, before we even get in there, that the premise of how we are brought into this park is very interesting. It's you can liken it to going to see a show, a movie or a stage production. More like a movie though. We're in the lobby here. We're in the lobby. It's sort of a red carpet type situation, and passing through the tunnel is us entering the theater. We're entering the show, the show arena, as it were. And this is all just sort of preamble. It's getting you ready for the production that's about to happen, which we'll get into as we make our way down Main Street and into the hub. For those new to the show, my name is David. We are Fresh Baked, and our goal here at this channel in every video we make is to try to make your visits to the Disneyland Resort just a little bit better, a little bit more magical. The purpose of this video is, this is sort of a level green, if we're going green to red kind of situation in terms of experience levels and what you need to know going in before you watch this video. This is for mostly for the new folks, the new people who just want to know the basics, the understandings of the Disneyland Resort. I'm going to show you where things are, how they are in relation to one another, and then some of my personal observations, maybe some history, maybe some tips or secrets along the way, but just kind of guide you through each land and each attraction. And that tour begins, the show begins here at Town Square and all the surrounding, Main Street and everything. This land, Main Street, Town Square, was designed to be reminiscent of turn of the century, world that Walt lived in. Walt asked his Imagineers, designers, he wanted something to remind him of his times in Marceline. And this is one of my favorite parts about going to Disneyland, is that Disneyland has sort of required guests to walk down that street. They require you to have this introduction to the park. That's the only way in. Well, actually, technically, you could take the Downtown Disney monorail entrance. It's kind of a cheat in my opinion, but it's the only way in, and it was designed that way with intent because they want to have a very specific experience for you. In the same way, like, let's say the Doom Buggies, which we could talk about later with the Haunted Mansion, but they point you in the direction that they want you to see. So as we walk down Main Street, we are soaking in the initial experience of what it's like to be in turn of the century America. And you'll look, by the way, at all these facades. There's, it's very famously known to they're disproportionate. They've shrunk them down to give them perspective. Forced perspective, as it were. But you'll also notice that in a bunch of these windows up here, there are names on the windows, and all these names are representative of famous people in the history of Disneyland. The windows on Main Street. If you're a legend, a Disney legend, you get your name on one of those windows. These are, if we're making show metaphors, show comparisons, these are the opening credits. The movie has begun, and in the old days, if you recall, the first 5 minutes of a movie was just the credits, the actors, the actresses, the director, the writers, and all that. So that's what those windows represent, to me anyway, is the opening credits to the film that we're about to see, the show that we're about to be presented here at Disneyland. But before we get into that show, we're going to follow this horse-drawn streetcar, one of 4 Main Street vehicles that appear on Main Street here to get back down the way, because I want to point out a couple things. As I mentioned, we're going to be looking at rides and shows, but also dining locations. On our right, would be on your left if you're coming up, is the Carnation Cafe. That's a sit-down table service restaurant. They serve great breakfast here. It's also one of the more favorite places to eat for people who want to, they try to sit on the rail and catch the parade as it happens down Main Street, which is quite a Disney experience, I must say. On our left is the Market House. It's basically Starbucks, but that used to be, you know, an old coffee shop, but they've converted that into a Starbucks. Before we head back up Main Street, there's another one of the 4 Main Street vehicles. This is, I call this the horseless carriage. There's a couple of them, yellow one and a red one, a horseless carriage. And then I don't see the omnibus, but and there's another horseless carriage there. There's the horseless carriage, the red one, and then you'll see a fire truck, which is very historical for Disneyland and Main Street, but it looks like they are not on the road right now, and that does vary. Those Main Street vehicles will come on and off Main Street throughout the course of the day, depending on if there's a show going on. They take them off the street, for example, if there's a parade, obviously, or if the Dapper Dans or the Disneyland Band is performing somewhere, they want to have the streets clear. So you'll find that those cars will often not be on the streets at all. Heading back towards the hub, on your left is the Candy Palace. That's where they sell a bunch of Disney candy. You'd be interested to know that they actually make quite a bit of the candy that they sell here, right here in this little window. Presently, they are getting ready to make some churro toffee, although there are no craftsmen inside that I can speak. The glare here is immense, so it's hard to tell, but they'll make the candy right here in front of you. It's amazing. All year round, the candy that you can buy in the shop is made right here on Main Street. One of my favorite little facts about Disneyland that you'll find any other theme park having a hard time reproducing. That's the Jolly Holiday on the left. Another of our favorite dining locations. They serve breakfast and lunch there. Well, they serve dinner too, but it's basically the same food you get at lunch. It's closed right now, going through a major refurb. They're repairing all of the roof, the shingles on the roof, and doing a paint job. A great place to get breakfast. And they're famous for their grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup combo. On the right is the Plaza Inn, Walt's favorite restaurant. Again, famous for its fried chicken. That's pretty much, I've been going here for 15 years or 13 years, and I don't think I've ever ordered anything other than the fried chicken at the Plaza Inn. It's so good. It's so good. Very hearty meal. That brings us to the hub. The hub, where the partner statue is the center of the wheel, and then spokes radiate out from it, allowing you to sort of choose your adventure. And that's the part where that's where we begin to get into the show that we referenced earlier about what's going to happen. They're putting on a show for us, and you can choose what kind of adventure you'd like to have. What kind of show would you like to see? Now, most people choose every show, but the idea is for you to pick one and go in that direction. And that's what we will do. We'll approach the literal hub here. The statue, it's called the partner statue. That's Mickey and Walt up there, sort of welcoming you to Disneyland. A lot of folks believe that this has been here always, but it took a long time to get this statue placed here. It wasn't, I'm not sure what year, but it's been a while. It used to just be grass. Out here you could just kind of grass and flowers and planters and stuff, but it's, over the years it's evolved. So, as for that hub, there's a spoke heading towards Adventureland, Frontierland. You could choose Fantasyland also, and then Tomorrowland. The good news is that there's no wrong answer. You could pick any one you want, and eventually you will be able to access any of the other lands from the direction you choose. So if we choose Adventureland, we could still get to Frontierland, Fantasyland, or what have you, but it's just fun to sort of start in a specific direction, start with a specific story. And I guess our momentum has taken us in this direction, so we'll begin our adventure. The adventure that we're choosing is Adventureland. How wonderful. Before you even cross the threshold, you've got Tiki Room on the left. Legendary attraction, one of Walt's personal creations. He really, this was one of his babies, as it were. It's where animatronics sort of began, in a sense, and it's been here for quite a while. Don't ever worry, though, about, being in a hurry to see the Tiki Room. It's always going to be there for you. You'll never have to wait. Hey, thanks. You'll never have to wait more than one show before you get your chance to see a show. So don't ever be in a hurry for that. What's cool about the Tiki Room and the recent evolution is that it used to be a dead end. You would go in over here, that's where we just passed the Tiki Room there, but they have a while back installed some steps, a path. You could go through there, get yourself a Dole Whip or something, but you can also come around to the other side and go to the Tropical Hideaway, which is also a fairly new addition in terms of overall Disneyland history. The Tropical Hideaway is the place to get even more Dole Whips. It's a little quiet right now because we're early in the morning. Well, it's about 10:30 or so. But they have Dole Whips, a lot of flavored combination Dole Whips, plus some hot food, some entrees over there. Not exactly a full lunch, but it's a lovely place to eat. And it's a really great vibe in here. It's one of my favorite places to be in the entire park, especially if you're able to get a seat on the rail here. And you're right next to the Jungle Cruise. This is the very end of the Jungle Cruise right here. It looks like it's offline at the moment. It looks like the attraction is closed. But the final scene is right around that corner, and the boats come around here and they turn left and pick up their next batch of guests. The thing I love about the Jungle Cruise is that it looks like the kind of attraction that has been here since the very beginning. And that's because it is. This is one of the opening day attractions. There's quite a few things that will happen that we'll see along our journey. They're like, gosh, it's been here forever, right? It's been here since the beginning. But not really, no. But this is one of them. The Jungle Cruise is an opening day attraction, and even though it's evolved over the years, it's changed, the scene's changed. The queue has even changed. The complexion of the attraction has changed a little bit. It does still feel very much like it would have felt, I'm assuming because I wasn't there, like it would have felt 70 years ago. As we noticed though, when we arrived, it looks to be closed. It'll come back soon. This is a very easy attraction to attend. It's one of those filler attractions that you want to use throughout your day. If you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure, if you want to wait for however long, Indy might be or Space Mountain. If you're not sure, go on the Jungle Cruise. It won't let you down, and it's a pretty brisk attraction. Right next door is Indiana Jones Adventure, one of the more complex attractions to try to take advantage of. It's very competitive with Standby and Lightning Lane, but I don't think that I am overstating things at all when I say that this is required viewing. If you want to get the show, if you want to get the Disneyland experience, the Disneyland show, adventure, we started here in Adventureland. You're doing that because you want to go on Indiana Jones Adventure. It is top tier, probably top 3, top 5 on most charts, I would say, in terms of the best rides at Disneyland. You got to find a way to get on Indiana Jones. You just got to hope you're lucky, because it's one of the more breakdown-y attractions. It tends to break down, so don't be surprised if when you arrive here and you set a goal to go on Indiana Jones that it isn't available to you when you get here. That's part of the experience. Again, that's part of going to Disneyland. Where we're walking right now, there used to be a giant tree. There used to be a giant tree right here as part of Tarzan's treehouse, and you would go up the tree and then cross a bridge that's imaginary now. It's not there now, but you would cross a bridge and it would connect with that tree, which is now the Adventureland treehouse. As history goes, it was the Swiss family treehouse forever, and it was great. Everybody loved it, but people didn't really go on it. They didn't attend it, and it was kind of in the way. And Disney thought about maybe destroying it, but Tony Baxter stepped in. He's a famous Imagineer. He's the guy who designed Indiana Jones Adventure, for example. And he said, no, how about we retheme it to Tarzan, because Tarzan was just hitting theater. So we'll retheme it to Tarzan and bring it to the modern guest. And that's what they did. And he saved the treehouse. But then people stopped caring about Tarzan's treehouse also. And so it almost died again. And they saved it by actually going back to its roots. It's called the Adventureland treehouse, but basically everybody agrees it is the Swiss Family treehouse. It's almost the same, the same kind of idea, same concept, some of the same features, the wheel and the buckets and all that, and the rooms and the family that decided they want to go live out in the woods, in the jungle, in a treehouse. So it's called the Adventureland treehouse because they didn't want to be constrained by the Swiss Family story. The Swiss Family story had 3 sons, where they wanted to incorporate, a daughter as well into the story. So that's why they did that. But in effect, the Adventureland treehouse is Swiss Family, which I absolutely love that they made that choice. So we're going down the hill here, down this ramp. And by the way, one thing I'll be hoping to show you guys is how things relate to one another. For example, as we get down to the bottom of the hill, we're in New Orleans Square now. We were just at Adventureland. We are now in a New Orleans Square. To the right, that's Frontierland in that direction. So if we had chosen Frontierland as our first path, we would have come up this path, and we would have had the opportunity to arrive at the same location. That's what I was talking about before. Even though you choose a path, that doesn't necessarily mean that's all you can do. So Frontierland feeds into the same location here just as well as Adventureland does. It takes you to Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously a legendary attraction. This is one of those where people think, oh, this has been here forever, since the very beginning, right? No, actually, no. It took a decade for them to bring this attraction to the park. But since then, it has remained, it still is to this day. I can't believe it's the case, but it is perhaps the most popular, maybe the second most popular attraction in the entire resort. And it's still just the same old Pirates of the Caribbean that it's always been. It's fantastic that this attraction, this type of attraction, has endured for more than 50 years as being, the very definition of the Disney experience. I actually want to take you back up the hill now. This is the hill we just came down as we were talking about Adventureland Treehouse. There's 2 ways to pass through into New Orleans Square from this direction. The land is bisected by this bridge, which, by the way, is also a fairly new addition to the scene. Back in the day when they first opened Pirates, guests would walk up, this path that we're down there, and you would go straight into the building. You would go straight into the building, and there was no bridge. It was just all flat ground right here. And it was kind of a very basic open space Disneyland was back in that day, but things have become more, I don't know, it's better. I think, they've given it more character. This bridge adds a lot of character to the scene. The queue that they've built here adds more character to the scene. Very popular attraction, as we mentioned. But yeah, you can take this bridge, or you can go down on that side, and that'll kind of send you to the right a little bit towards Haunted Mansion, where the bridge kind of sends you, it wants you to take Royal Street or the Esplanade. We'll take Royal Street. On our left is Royal Street Veranda. That's a quick service dining location. That's where you can get your sourdough bread bowl with the clam chowder. We're famous for that. Gift shop here. Oh, there's the bootstrappers. We're gonna try to make our way through or around these guys. I absolutely love the bootstrappers. They are my favorite streetmosphere. That's something they call the entertainment that you can find just out here performing in the streets, like the Dapper Dans or the Jambalaya Jazz Band. Blue Bayou is right here. This is the exit, actually. That's the exit for Pirates. All these guests coming out of here right now have just finished their Pirates adventure. The Blue Bayou is a restaurant that's actually on the water. Hey, how are you? It's a very famous, very popular restaurant. You have to get a reservation. They're kind of hard to get into. But when you do, dining inside, you're actually dining along the river, the very beginning of the Pirates of the Caribbean story. You launch and the restaurant will be on your right. Very magical, very Disney. I would say that a lot. But there's so much to do here. That's kind of what I want to point out is the things that define the Disneyland experience. We're going to take this to the right. We've just kind of made a little horseshoe there. And on our right is Cafe Orleans. This is a table service restaurant that serves, New Orleans style food. They're famous for serving the Monte Cristo. Hi guys, how are you? It's closed right now. but I love dining here, especially again on the rail. Every chance you get. Carnation Cafe, Blue Bayou, Cafe Orleans. If you're at a table service restaurant, try to sit on the rail if you can. If you can ask, can I wait for one of these seats? There's tables out here. There's tables inside as well. But for my money, I love the opportunity to dine while soaking in at the same time Disneyland happening to all these guests. You just get to be there and be present for that energy. It's terrific. So that's Cafe Orleans, table service. It's kind of pricey, but it's probably the best food, the best dining experience you can get, I think, at Disneyland. It's depending on the menu changes, but often it is the case where I sit down, I dine there, and I'm like, that's the best thing I've had at Disneyland, whatever that happened to be. Like the shrimp and grits, or like I said, the Monte Cristo. Right next door, okay, so that's Cafe Orleans. Right next door to that is Tiana's Palace. This is formerly the French Market. They rethemed this about, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. One of my favorite places to eat as well, mostly because of the style of food service that they do here, although it is closed right now, so I can't go in there and show you. But it's buffeteria style. If you don't want to be bothered with mobile order, if that kind of thing annoys you, being on your phone, there are 3 dining locations at Disneyland where there is no mobile. Well, there actually is mobile order here, but it's not necessary. Where it's buffeteria style. It's like going to a cafeteria and you just ask for what kind of food you want, and they plate it for you right there. The food is already prepared. They just put it on the plate for you, and it's so quick, it's so easy, but it is still fresh. And hi guys, Tiana's Palace is one. We'll check in on a couple others: Rancho del Zocalo and Plaza Inn. Well, actually, we already talked about Plaza Inn. Did I already get into that? Yeah, the famous chicken. You go in there, you can get your chicken in 5 minutes. It's great. So if you have forgotten to place a mobile order, or if you're in a hurry and you don't want to be bothered, Tiana's Palace is a great location. Plus, they have great food. They have really, really good food there. Sometimes, if you're lucky, there'll be a band playing right there. The Jambalaya Jazz Band play there. This whole area, actually, by where we are, has just recently, just a few months ago, has been updated. This used to be, where there was a fountain and just sort of a green, big trees and everything. It was beautiful, but you couldn't really do anything here. It wasn't meant for guests per se. And they recently updated that as part of the renovation of the Haunted Mansion, which we'll get into. But part of that renovation was opening up this side of the French Market so the Jambalaya Jazz Band can play both directions. They play to us, play to this crowd out here, and they also play to guests at Tiana's Palace. This, by the way, also is one of the stations for the Disneyland Railroad. This is the New Orleans Square station. They call it the Frontierland station because that's what it was back in the day. New Orleans Square is a new land, relatively speaking, compared to the rest of Disneyland, historically speaking. But it is the New Orleans Square station. This is my second preferred station. I prefer getting on either at Main Street or here. And then right next door is the Haunted Mansion. And this whole space right here, again, it's part of the renovation that just completed a couple months ago. I mean, it's brand new. So if you've ever watched a walkthrough of Disneyland before, I would venture to guess that just about every walkthrough that you've seen of Disneyland will be moot at this point. It's no longer valid because this space that we're in right now, the where the fountain was over here and the queue space over here at the Haunted Mansion has been changed dramatically. Magnolia Park, they took a section of Magnolia Park and pushed out the queue into that space. They built a whole new queue out here. This didn't exist a year ago. This did not exist. The rest of the Haunted Mansion is the same, and it's just how you always remember it. Although recently they have added a new bride to the scene. That just happened, a week ago? As I record this, that happened a week ago. The new bride was revealed on January 18th, not even a week ago as I record this, but that is the new Haunted Mansion scene. This is a very popular attraction right now. You kind of just have to grin and bear it when it comes to standby and dealing with Lightning Lane, but it is one of the most enjoyable queues you'll ever wait in. If you have a desire to go on Haunted Mansion, just do it. Just do it. There's really not a lot of shortcuts there. You just either choose and go or you don't. That's pretty much how it is with Haunted Mansion. It's very popular right now, though. Very, very popular. Hi guys. All right, we're almost done with Nowhere Square. This is a dry dock here for the Columbia. Sometimes the Columbia is parked here, sometimes it is the Mark Twain. But when these boats are not in operation, they'll park one here and then they'll park the Mark Twain. It's usually the Columbia that's here. They'll park the other one somewhere else. It's right next to the Harbor Galley, which is another place for you to get the clam chowder bread bowl. Hey, how are you? They've also got some really good sandwiches. They got the lobster roll and the tuna salad, which are great. I'm partial to the tuna salad sandwich. Sometimes, if I can't decide what I want to get, I just come here and get the tuna salad and I'm good. This is Pelican's Landing, also fairly new. This is about 3 or 4 years old now, I guess. This used to just be seating and a planter. There wasn't much here, but they've added some seating for the Harbor Galley. And if you care to, pardon me folks, there's a path that a lot of people don't know about, especially if you're watching this video, you probably don't know about this path. I call it the secret path. The secret path was one of the first introductions to our channel to the world when I started talking about this, and people, it was one of our first sort of semi-viral videos, but there's a more seating area back here, and you think this is the end. You think you just have to go back, when you're done, and go back out that way. But no, you can continue your magic. Go up these steps. And where you're at now is over where the boats return. That's Tiana's Bayou Adventure Water, formerly Splash Mountain. That's the actual flume track where the boats, actually we should be seeing a boat come through here any second. It sounds like the attraction is down at the moment, but I saw a boat. Did it sink? Oh, there it is. So normally there would be laughing, screaming guests, soaking wet. This is one of my favorite places to be because when you're here, everybody's happy. There are no sad times. No sad times. They call it the laughing place, right? This is the laughing place for me, and it still is. You watch guests come down, they're fresh off the big drop. Big drop happens right there. They crash down, they land. Right here, although again, there's no boats on the track right now. I'm kind of bummed there's not a bunch of attractions are closed, but they will have just landed right here, and they're screaming and laughing, and everybody's at the peak experience for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I just like to sort of soak that in, watch the guests go by there. And if you don't want to do that, if that's not your cup of clam chowder, you've got the Rivers of America right here, right in front of you. Across the way is Sawyer Island. We didn't actually get to talk about the rafts. I might have to go back that way, and maybe when we do, we'll be able to see more along the way. But that's Sawyer Island, one of the most legendary places to be. This is an original attraction here at the park. It's one of my favorite places. It's a total escape from the rest of Disneyland. If you ever want to disconnect yourself, if there's too much, if you're getting too much Disneyland, the crowds or the hype or whatever, go over here. I'll show you. Harbor Galley, Pelican's Landing. Hey, look, there's the Mark Twain. This used to be a little smoking section. They converted that into seating area over here. We go back down this hill back towards Pirates. That's Pirates right over there. If you're trying to get your bearings. Hi, guys. Trying to get your bearings. People yelling fresh baked at me because they recognize. For those new to the show, we get a lot of that. We'll be walking around and people just start yelling fresh baked at us. That's the name of our channel. So yeah, there's Pirates, Tiana's Palace, Haunted Mansion. Right across the way are the rafts to Pirate's Lair. This is where you wait. There's a raft across the way. It's picking up guests that are returning from the island. They've just been to the island, and it's really kind of amazing that this is a thing that you can do at Disneyland. You just don't see experiences like this really at any other theme park. It's one of the most definitive things you can do, that you're at Disneyland when, which is something that I like to observe as often as possible. And I just respect it so much. I have so much reverence for this whole ceremony that's about to begin. So that raft laden with, 20, 30, 40 guests. This one's not full, but you could probably get 40 or 50 guests on there, I'm guessing. The raft will do a little pivot, come back to the other side. It'll drop off these guests, and everybody in this queue right here, in this space in front of me, they'll get on that same raft, and They'll repeat the process and take those guests over there. They'll get off and run around the island for however long they want. You can stay there all day if you want. I love the ceremony of it. I love the old school nature of it. I love the fact that it's not in the least bit modern. They still, use the same motor, and they still use the paddle to steer the boat. It's not on a track. This guy's actually steering it. If they wanted to, he could take this raft all the way around the island. I've been on the raft and went all the way around the island. It's kind of fun. It's kind of amazing. Right now he's got it in park. The engine keeps moving, and then it's tied off, so it's creating opposite pressures to keep it still. Once the engine's trying to push it, where the rope is trying to hold it against the line right over here. It's moored there, and these guests will be board, and the next guest or next group of guests will board, and away they go. They will repeat the same process they just did over here, but in the opposite direction. Fantastic. Very Disney, very awesome, and it's not just for kids. I love going to the island. As often as I am able to manage it, I just try to go over there and relax. By the way, if any of you are picking up what we're putting down in this video and it inspired you perhaps to maybe want to come visit the Disneyland Resort, plan a trip, maybe make that decision, we would ask that you please do consider using our travel affiliate, GetAwayToday. There's a link in the description. They are fans of the show, and they're sponsors of this channel, of this show, and they are the best in the business at getting you into the park, helping you navigate the ins and outs of booking and all that, and giving you advice as needed about how to get to the park. We can teach you what to do when you're in here, and they can teach you what to do to get there. We love GetAwayToday. They're amazing. Use the link in the description. Tell them we sent you. Plan a trip to Disneyland, and I hope you guys have a great trip. And just as I had hoped, while we were over there shooting Tom Sawyer, boats are back in the water. There's some guys right there. They just got done doing their drop. I swear I should probably move on. We got a whole half a park to do still, but I can't get myself to leave this space. There we go. There you go, laughing. They're always laughing. It's very rare that you see somebody come around that corner and not have at least one person laughing. I love this spot. Nice. So that brings us out the other side, and obviously we're at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, formerly Splash Mountain. This reopened as Tiana's back in October. Same ride. It's the same ride system, just different theme. They put a different skin on it. Instead of having fixed level there, instead of having all the Splash Mountain characters, there are Tiana's Bayou Adventure characters from Princess and the Frog. But the actual ride, the drop, and everything else is the same. Just the scenes. It is a very, very popular attraction right now, and it will be for a little while, for as long as this video lasts, I'm sure. Presently it's 60 minutes, and they have, you got to kind of pick your spots here, especially on a warm day. You're uphill. It's going to be a long wait. Not a lot of shortcuts here, but it is a wonderful attraction, and I love what they've done back here at what is now Bayou Country, formerly Critter Country. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is still here. No changes made at all to this attraction. It's still delightful, but it's breaking down a lot. It's not open right now. This attraction has been breaking down a lot, and I don't know why. It's one of the more curious things that I've observed since Tiana's reopened. But this is the one dead end, really, in the whole park. This is the only land, Bayou Country, that you have to turn around and go back the way you came if you want to go back out and find some more Disneyland. But every other land has an exit to another land, which is interesting. This is where you'll find Winnie the Pooh. He is right here, meeting guests as we speak. You can also meet Eeyore and Tigger. They have also remodeled Pooh Corner back here. This all used to be just, this whole thing was considered Pooh Corner. But now this gift shop has been rethemed to Lewis's Critter Club. A Princess and the Frog model or theme. It's beautiful in here. I love it. I love what they've done in here. It's one of my favorite gift shops in the entire park. Mostly because you have a bunch of frogs up there drinking martinis or fly juice. We'll pass through. This is the plush section, the middle zone, and then proper Pooh Corner at the other end where you can get all your tasty treats here. And they also do more candy making back here, just like on Main Street at the Candy Palace. They make the treats that you see inside the cases there. All right, here you got a honey pot, some hearts there for Valentine's Day, but they're purple. Oh, she's sprinkling dust on them as we speak. Matic here is mixing something of some kind, probably chocolate. Oh, he's nuking it. Yes, he melted some blue. He melted a bunch of blue over there. There you go, Ticker Tail's on the way. They make it all right here from scratch, on site. Fantastic. That's the exit, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Normally they have a wonderful little water system happening here. The water's off. There's a waterfall back here. It's delightful. I love coming back here and just chilling out on this waterfall, but it has been turned off for what reason, I'm not sure. It's not permanent. It was on just a couple days ago, but it's off today. But normally there's a waterfall that feeds into Pooh Sticks River and goes underneath Pooh Sticks Bridge. This is Pooh Sticks Bridge. The idea here is that you throw sticks into the river and you race the sticks. I love Bayou Country. Don't skip Bayou Country. Don't just hit Tiana's Bayou Adventure and get out of here. Go to Winnie the Pooh, get yourself a Ticker Tail, spend some time back here, meet Winnie the Pooh. I love it here. It's so good. Especially when the music's playing, because they just turn it back on. They turn the music up because Winnie the Pooh is closed, but they're about ready to reopen it again. Okay, as we exit Bayou Country, we can turn right or left. Right sends us back to New Orleans Square. So if you're coming from the left, that's how you get to New Orleans Square. You keep going down that path and you'll find New Orleans Square in the Haunted Mansion. We're gonna go left because that was the direction that we were going. It's been our direction throughout this video, and that's Hungry Bear on the left, by the way. We should talk about that. Probably, I can't believe I almost missed this. Hungry Bear might be the single best place to eat at all of Disneyland, not because of the food, but because of the upstairs dining up there, all those tables and chairs you see. You get some good food, you get some barbecue up there, get a spot, get a table in the back, and then you could sit out and watch the rivers of America, watch the traffic go by, watch the Columbia, the Mark Twain, the Davy Crockett canoes, which are closed right now, so there's actually no traffic on the river as we speak, but we just watched, the Columbia or the Mark Twain go by just a few minutes ago, so it's probably making its tour. But this is an amazing spot to view. I love sitting back here in this section right back there. It's my absolute favorite. The food's here is pretty good too at Hungry Bear. Barbecue Jamboree, recently rethemed. Also, they changed the food here a little bit. Didn't used to be barbecue, and they also added the old Country Bear Jamboree theme. Back where Winnie the Pooh is, back there in Bayou Country, that used to be the location of the Country Bear Jamboree. And they closed that attraction, decades ago. And they, just today, or the last couple of months, they brought back the characters that you would have met there, Teddy Barra and all those guys, Liver Lips, etc. Those characters are featured in posters and stuff around the Hungry Bear. We have just passed through. We've just transitioned. I don't know if you noticed that. We got music now, Galaxy's Edge. This is the Disneyland Railroad train. It passes by above us right here. Once you pass under that train, cross that threshold, we are now in one of 3 entrances to Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars themed land. There's an entrance here. There's one from Frontierland and then one from Fantasyland. This is the Bayou Country entrance. And I love the sounds of Galaxy's Edge. On our left right here is the queue for Rise of the Resistance. As we push further into the land, you'll see the entrance, where the actual attraction is. But this is the extended outdoor queue. for Rise, one of the most popular attractions in the entire park. Much ballyhooed arrival, Galaxy's Edge and Rise was. So this is the general waiting area. You enter right over here. Very busy attraction. We did a whole video that I encourage you to watch to learn how to solve Rise the Resistance, how to beat the queue, because it can be a long wait. Right now it's posted at 40, that's a bargain. But this can get into the hour, 2 hours, 180 minutes, whatever. Not quite as often as it used to, but it can still be a grizzly. It looks like they just broke down. Guess they're coming out the wrong way. But check out our Rise the Resistance video to find out how to beat the standby queue, so you don't have to pay 20 bucks for the individual lightning lane, which does beat the queue. It's a guaranteed you're gonna get right on, but it's not as fun. I'll say that. It is not nearly as fun. When you buy the individual lightning lane, when you pay the 20 bucks just for that ride, you're paying just for Rise of the Resistance per person. When you buy the individual lightning lane, you skip all of the interior queue. You go directly to the Ray Room, which is okay, because that's where the show starts. The show doesn't really, that's where the show starts, so you haven't really missed a show, but you've missed the queue. And for me, going to Disneyland, part of the experience is waiting in the queues and whatever sort of entertainments that they have in the queue. It's a very enjoyable place to be. I don't mind spending 40 minutes in the Rise of the Resistance queue. Now what we're leaving is what is known as the Resistance side, in the middle between, there's three parts. There's the Resistance side, the middle part, which is the marketplace, and then on the other side is the First Order side, or Empire, if you will. If you're using original trilogy terminology, you can go left into the marketplace, or you can go right, and it's just sort of it's a shortcut around all this. It's kind of a quicker way to get to the other end of the land. But if you want to do a little shopping, or get a little more Star Wars into your blood, because that's why you're here, right? Is for Star Wars. You can hear the aesthetics, the sound, the sound effects. You will often find characters in here. Right now, there's Boba Fett is down there meeting guests, but you'll often find those characters in here as well. Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Mandalorian. Gift shops along here. You can get some toys. You can get your Jedi robes, plushes right here. That's Katsaka's Kettle. They sell popcorn, flavored popcorn, and a variety of treats. And then one of the featured elements when they first started announcing Galaxy's Edge was Ronto Roasters, which is where we are now. They sell Ronto wraps. Apparently that's a Ronto, and it quickly became famous. Ronto wraps did. That's all they sell here basically, are the Ronto wraps and a Tatooine Sunset, which is my single favorite specialty drink in the entire park. You can get a Tatooine Sunset here. I'll show you here. That is amazing. That's the Ronto wrap. It's basically like a pork hot dog with slaw in a pita bowl, and then they have a Ronto-less. This is a plant-based sausage with kimchi slaw. It's a different flavor. It's different taste and everything. They're dressed differently. I prefer this one because I like kimchi slaw. I like pickled cucumber. I like the gochujang spread. It's all good to me. So that's Ronto Roasters to the right. On our right, very surreptitiously, they hide this into the background of the land. You don't even aware of it. That's a gift shop right there. That is Doc Ondar's. That's where you get all your Star Wars themed, the higher end stuff. That's where you buy your lightsabers, etc. There is also down here, by the way, I should say, there's Doc Ondar's. This is where the lightsaber, you could build your own lightsaber here. It's a very involved experience. It's very ceremonial. It was a huge deal when the land first opened. You had to have reservations. You couldn't just walk up there and get in standby and just go in there and get yourself a lightsaber. I don't know what the story is today, but you can see that can I just walk in there? They're watching me. There's nobody here. Usually, you have like a whole pen. This was a standby pen out here. People are waiting for their turn to go in there. I'm not sure what the situation is. Maybe everybody got one. Maybe everybody who wanted a lightsaber Maybe they got one, or maybe they just go next door, which is where we're right back to where we started. Maybe they just go to next door to Doc Ondar's and they don't worry about building it. But that was one of the innovations of Galaxy's Edge when they built this land, and it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. But I'm not sure if it's still a thing today. But the innovation was turning merchandising and dining into show, right? So, even though there's only 2 attractions here, there's Smuggler's Run, which we haven't got to yet, and Rise of the Resistance, which we've seen already. By all appearances, Disney is treating the Build Your Own Lightsaber experience as an attraction, but you have to pay for it. You have to pay $100-something to build your own lightsaber, and then right next door to Savi's workshop is the droid factory, also nondescript, just kind of built into the landscape. It's not very obvious. I wonder if that's working out for them. But you can come in here to the droid workshop and build your own droid. This is, again, it's merchandising as an attraction. They've made this an attraction. You have to, you go in here and you buy the droid base or whatever, and you put it together. You farm your own parts. You can build it any way you want. There's the dome. There's the body. Let's see. I see. There's a leg right there. So you get a dome, the body, and a couple legs, and I think maybe 1 or 2 other features. I did this one time, opening day, but this, you pick your parts out here, and you take it to the station, and you put everything together, turn it on, and beep boop bop, you've got yourself a R2-D2 like droid. Looks like $100, or there's a droid bundle. I'm not sure what the bundle is, but that sounds about right. Build your own droid for $100. So merchandising as show, quite an innovation by Disney. Although there's very few people buying droids in there right now. Very few people going to Savi's workshop. I'm curious to know if they're getting all that they wanted out of that experience now. And that's been one of the talking points about Galaxy's Edge for those guests who are coming back for the second and third time. Once you've done those, the land has effectively become smaller. There's less to do now in the land. Now you've just got Smuggler's Run, which is okay, and Rise of the Resistance, which takes an hour. It's it's kind of a tricky place to be. Let's go check out Smuggler's Run. And when I say Smuggler's Run, of course I mean the Millennium Falcon, right? It's too bad you can't actually go in there. Although that's the idea. When you go into the show building, you get in the queue and you walk all the way around, you circuitously make your way, you eventually wind up in that cockpit right there of the Millennium Falcon to help Hondo collect some coaxium, whatever that stuff is. It's kind of a hit and miss for people. It can be great, Smuggler's Run. It can be a real winner of an attraction. It just depends on how you value that type of experience, the simulator experience. But that's what it is. It's a simulator. We're making our way through the other side. And by the way, you'll notice that we have not encountered, we've encountered one character so far. That's one of the main features of Galaxy's Edge, is just being able to bump into some of your favorites. But they're not out here all the time. The only characters that are out here often are the stormtroopers. There's one up there right now. He's on a catwalk, but you'll often find them out here in pairs, basically working the room, as it were, like comedians. They'll come down here and interrogate guests and talk to you and banter. They're often very funny. It's probably one of the better parts. And then every now and then, like once an hour or so, you can find Kylo Ren doing his rounds out here. And then this is the First Order side, so you won't see them here. But if you go on the other side, back towards where the Millennium Falcon is, you'll find Rey or Chewbacca, R2-D2. You'll find them milling around here often. R2-D2 you often see on the other side of that rail tinkering. You'll see Rey tinkering with the ship. Sometimes you'll see Vi Marati, which is a character that was developed just for this land. There's nobody out here right now. It's empty, devoid of characters. You can check the Disneyland app to see when your favorites might appear, Chewbacca or whatever. I will say this, there's still, years into this, there's still no Darth Vader, no C-3PO. Got R2-D2, but not C-3PO, which I get. C-3PO is a little bit harder to pull off than R2-D2 is. No Luke Skywalker, no Princess Leia, no Han Solo. You can basically only find characters that have appeared in the trilogies. Although Boba Fett and Mandalorian were recent additions, technically they're original, but they're brought in because they've got modern shows. You know, the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, obviously. So you can find those characters here as well. Check the app for when those characters might appear. And then before we leave, the last dining location here is the Blue Milk Stand. They sell blue milk, blue and green milk, and then also the polystarch puff bread presently, although that's a temporary thing. This is where you get your blue milk, though. It's not milk, you guys. It is not milk. It is like a slushy kind of a. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not really practiced that kind of thing, but it is not milk. I will say that. Here's those stormtroopers on the ground working the room.
Sorry, we're on the move. No need to worry. Unless you know something about the resistance. Wait. Nice. I trust that's strictly for practice and not for something else. Move on. Excellent. Hold. Stop. One moment, please. Let's all look to know.
Okay. So that is Galaxy's Edge, more or less, known by many names. Batuu, Black Spire Outpost, and or Galaxy's Edge. This trail, this is one of the two, I mentioned there's 3 ways in and out of Galaxy's Edge. This is the middle one. The second one, this is the one heading in the direction of Frontierland for one of the most amazing transitions. Just let it. And when you come out the other side, you are now in Frontierland. It's made of wood. And here again, this is one of those forks in the road. If we go left down this path, that's towards Fantasyland. You take this path, that's Big Thunder Trail right here. That's Big Thunder Trail. You take that to Fantasyland. You could actually just make a U-turn and go right back in if you want into Galaxy's Edge. We're gonna go right because we have not yet been to Frontierland. It's made of wood. For those Disneyland historians or people who are, aware of Disneyland's history, there used to be a train ride. This was Nature's Wonderland. That's Big Thunder Mountain on the left. This used to be Nature's Wonderland, Rainbow Caverns and all that. And a train would actually pass right over where we are. And that tunnel is where the train would go into this tunnel over here. I don't know if you can see that. We'll walk up there a little bit.
I need a bag.
The actual train, the Nature's Wonderland train through the prairies of Arizona, etc. It would go into that boarded up tunnel right there. You can see the track still exists. That's actual track. It would go out on the other side and come out, and you can see the rivers of America, which you can still see from the Mark Twain. Also on the other side of that berm, it would go around the berm and come back to Frontierland through that tunnel there, and there was a bridge that would go over this space and into the big desert space that they had out here for Nature's Wonderland. It was amazing. They had bears out here in the water trying to get fish, etc. And there, I don't know, the last time I looked, the fish were still here. There's little arms that pop out of the water, like that just rotate. I don't know if they've turned them off or not recently, but I mean, maybe it's at least a year ago. Last time I looked, I feel like I did see fish out here, but right now all I see is them ducks. So this path, Big Thunder Trail, will take us into Frontierland proper. As we mentioned, that's Big Thunder on the left. One of my favorite attractions in the entire resort. It's the best combination. This attraction is the best combination of thrills, actual old school roller coaster, and a themed environment. Thanks again to the brilliance of Tony Baxter. Tony Baxter did this. He did Indiana Jones. He did Splash Mountain, which is now Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and Big Thunder plus Star Tours, which you haven't got to yet. There goes the UB Daring. That's the final stretch. These guests are heading back to the station. They have finished their efforts to get some gold out of them in our minds. It's a wild ride. Big Thunder is incredible. I would say do your best to include a ride on Big Thunder Mountain into your daily visit here at Disneyland. If you don't come often, that's one of those attractions I feel like you can't miss. You can't miss that or the Mark Twain. Mark Twain is coming into the dock after a trip around the river. We were just talking about the Nature's Wonderland train that went through those rocks. You can kind of see, no you can't. The edge of this hillside right here is the track, the old track. If you're on the Mark Twain, you'll get a good view of it. I love the Mark Twain because it disconnects me from the park. It takes me back. I'm taken in the time and place, and I love how Disney does that. Take you to a different time and place, and you really get immersed into that experience being on the Mark Twain. It feels so very real. The narration is great. The sound of the smokestacks, the sound of the paddle wheel going through the water. It actually is powered. The boat is powered by that paddle wheel. It's on a track, so there's no steering happening. It is on a track, but it is powered by the paddle wheel. So this is where you would board the Mark Twain. Now these guests here are getting ready to take the next trip. You can board here either the Mark Twain or the Columbia, both board here. The Columbia is in dock right now, so I'm not sure if it's even on the water, but when they're both running, they alternate. You would get the Mark Twain, and then right behind that would be the Columbia. And then after the Columbia takes off, right behind that would be another Mark Twain. It's wonderful. All that's happening, plus the Davy Crockett canoes when they're running, and the Tom Sawyer rafts when they're running. All that's happening on the river, and it's fantastic. So here's Big Thunder Mountain is the entrance right here. We're kind of approaching this from an opposite direction than you might normally. Let's see if we can't reroute ourselves. We talked about when you approach Disneyland from the hub. Just down that path is the hub. The hub that's the entrance to Frontierland right there. So all these guests are coming in from that direction right now, and they're gonna choose their adventure. Now you can go to the left and go to Pirates of the Caribbean this way. You can go to the right. You can go straight for Mark Twain or right for Big Thunder. But that's how interconnected everything is here at Disneyland. There's the Golden Horseshoe, one of the legendary attractions. There are a couple things you could say about the park in terms of its overall history that are very absolute. Mark Twain is part of that story. The Golden Horseshoe's been here since the beginning. Let me make my way out to the front. This has always been here. In fact, they were hosting parties here. Walt and Lillian hosted their wedding anniversary in the Golden Horseshoe days before the park actually opened. So there were guests here in the building before the park opened. There were also guests on that Mark Twain before the park opened. This is an opening day attraction as well. The Mark Twain is, and that was part of the celebration, the anniversary celebration, is that they had a bunch of guests on the boat out there. So that's pretty amazing to think that we're going on 70 years, and these situations are still a major part of the Disneyland experience. The Golden Horseshoe, a little less so than it used to be though. There's no live entertainment in here anymore. Golden Horseshoe, you can just you get your chicken strips and some, Golden Horseshoe-y music like you hear, but there's no more shows. They don't do any live shows in there anymore. I don't know if that's a permanent situation or temporary. Well, it's been permanent. It's been temporary for 2 or 3 years now, it seems like. Right? So I don't know. So we're leaving Frontierland. Actually, before we do, I mentioned earlier that there were 3 dining locations where you don't have to worry about mobile order. Tiana's Palace, which is back there at New Orleans Square, and then right here in Frontierland is Rancho del Zocalo. Mexican food, tacos, etc. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to eat. I'm actually going to take you in here a little bit because if you've never been, you need to understand how great this place is in terms of the theming and experience. There you go, Rancho del Zocalo. Very Zorro themed, if you will. So it's buffeteer style service. You don't place an order per se. You grab a tray, you look at the menu, you decide what you want. Burritos, tacos, carne asada, Caesar salad, that kind of thing, right? Get a tray, you get in this queue. This will only take a few minutes because they're making their food for you right away. It's all right there behind the counter. There's 2 lanes also, by the way. You can get in this one or you can get in this queue. They're the same. They don't. It used to be that they serve different food. It used to be tacos and burritos, enchiladas and chicken. Now both sides serve the same food, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. Get in when everyone is shorter. And then you can also, this is where you get your desserts. Once you get your food, cafeteria style, then you come out and you pay. It's awesome. It just takes a few minutes. Like that, we could literally have gotten food right there in 5 minutes. You wouldn't get that experience mostly at, go to Galactic Grill or Hungry Bear, something like that. It's going to be a 10 or 15, 20 minute wait often. And then if you play your cards right, you get a table right here on the rail again. I love sitting on the rail. That's the Big Thunder Railroad right there. The trains pass right by you. So you get to hear the trains come in every couple minutes. It's great. Not even every 30 seconds or something. Plenty of seating here, by the way. Plenty of seating. One of the most spacious dining areas in the park. There's tables over here. There's tables over there. There's tables over there. They're everywhere. And there's actually a bit of a shortcut here as well. We're going to take you through, but I'm going to also go back around the proper way. But if you're at Rancho, we just came through here. If you recall, we just did a loop, did a big fat circle. But as we pass down this path, you can go left into Rancho, or you can turn right, and this will take you to Fantasyland. On the other side of this tunnel is Princess Fantasy Fair. Oh my gosh. It's Anna. For real, Anna's here. Princess Fantasy Fair. The Royal Theater, they do live shows here basically on the hour. Let me go look real quick. Oh, they don't have a schedule up there. I know they have a schedule up somewhere. I think it's over here. Okay, nothing here either. Is it because they're not doing shows right now? Because I see a bunch of people using it as seating. They're not waiting for a show. There are no shows. That must be the case. These guests are just chilling. But that's a theater. They do Royal Theater here, Tangled and Beauty and the Beast. Maurice's Treats, amazing treats here, and they change them out often, but they're always very delicious. But quick bites you can get there. Royal Hall across the way here is where you can meet your favorite princesses. Royal Friends, these rotate. Typically it's the likes of Ariel, Sleeping Beauty, or Aurora, Snow White, Cinderella, Jasmine. You'll meet 3 princesses. However, we're gonna go out the way we came in because we got a few more things to show you here in Frontierland. Namely the shooting exposition where there's nobody currently firing. Wow, that's incredible. Those still work, that's still a thing. You can still do that. Costs 50 cents. There's the Pioneer Mercantile, the gift shop here, the major, it extends basically this whole building. The shop names change a little bit, but basically it's the same. A little shortcut over there to Adventureland. If you want to jump right over to Adventureland, over to the Tiki Room and Tropical Hideaway, you go right over there. And then there's another path to get to where we just came from, Princess Fantasy Fair. This little path here, it's kind of quiet and unknown. But if you follow this path around the corner, there's the Royal Theater right there. You can follow right through there. But we're gonna go out the proper exit entrance. And we have arrived back at the hub. So from this direction, from the hub here, we went to Adventureland right there, followed down that way, New Orleans Square, Galaxy's Edge, came back around Galaxy's Edge into Frontierland. Oh, and Bayou Country, don't forget that. And now we're back at the hub, and we could, again, once more, make the choice, choose your adventure. We could cut right through the hub and go to Tomorrowland if we wanted. We could turn right and head back down Main Street, but we've got a few more lands to check in this direction. and I want to approach Sleeping Beauty Castle in Fantasyland from its proper direction. By the way, this is the more normal approach to Princess Fantasy Fair, where we just rode Royal Theater and all that. And I think I saw Snow White back there. Is Snow White out there mingling with guests? Guys, that's so cool. You can go to Fantasyland, Princess Fantasy Fair, and just encounter Snow White. There she is. You guys see? I know this camera doesn't zoom very well. Let's go take a look.
We have a big project in Florida.
There she is. To quote my friend Chris Provost, how cool is that? There's Princess Fantasy Fair. Over here at Sleeping Beauty Castle, the main entrance to Fantasyland. There are three ways from here into Fantasyland. You can go straight through the castle, which is the direction we're going to be going in. You can get there from Princess Fantasy Fair. You can see a path exactly where Snow White was heading. She's going up the path, and you go along to there's an entrance right there in the castle. You go in that side, or you can go to the right. There's a path right here. Follow this to the right, and you've got Snow White's grotto, wishing well. You can hear her doing her I'm wishing kind of thing. You throw a penny and make a wish, meet the 7 dwarfs, and then enter the castle right there, or I should say enter Fantasyland through the castle. But we're gonna go the proper way. The ceremonial, you know you're at Disneyland when. And the great part about this is that you get that music transition, which I love. I love transitions into lands. Usually it's Sleeping Beauty. And here we are. We are now in a new time and place. We are in Fantasyland. There's that entrance I was talking about there. You can go to Frontierland from here. There's the side over there of Snow White's grotto, and there goes Snow White. Across the other side, she's going to her grotto. By the way, you know what? I think I want to do this because if you see her go that direction, it's often the case that she'll take pictures because it's her grotto. So we're going to go down the path here a little bit. Yeah, so she's holding court, as it were. How delightful. That's so good. Oh my gosh, I'm having a moment, you guys. I'm having a moment. Okay, we're doing a show. But anyway, this is the right path. As I mentioned, this is the third way to get into Fantasyland. There is, oh look, hi, Anna's here too. Everybody's here. She's gonna go run into Snow White right now. Do you think they'll be friends? I don't know. There's a kind of a secret attraction. A lot of people don't know about this little secret. You have to be a real Disney enthusiast, or at least familiar, to know the Sleeping Beauty Castle walkthrough. That door takes you through a telling of the story of Sleeping Beauty through displays. It's really beautiful displays, presentations. This is not a ceremonial castle. There's steps, there's stairs that lead you up, and you're in the castle looking through all that, the story of Sleeping Beauty. And it winds up there. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes maybe, if you're taking your time and reading all the little displays and everything. And then you come out the other side, right here where those guests did. Not a lot of people know that there's an actual attraction in there. It gets missed by a lot of the unfamiliar guests. And that brings us to Fantasyland, or as I call it, Fantasyland A. Fantasyland is huge, but it's so huge that it's separated into two distinct sections from each other. This is the Fantasyland A, the dark rides, Casey Jr., the carousel and all that. One of the dark rides here, this is Snow White's Enchanted Wish, remodeled just after COVID. Made it a little less scary. Snow White Enchanted Wish is one of my favorites. That's Peter Pan, very competitive. You definitely need to know what you're doing if you want to try to tackle Peter Pan, the most popular dark ride in the park. Obviously, straight ahead is King Arthur Carousel, not the least bit competitive. It may look like it could be, but it's not. It's easy to get on there. You never have to wait more than one rotation. Working further down the path, which this beautifully themed land, Fantasyland. I just love the vibe here, the music, the aesthetic, the design, the way that they built this place, and especially after the renovation from the 70s, when they did Fantasyland 2.0, basically, they made it so much better. There's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. This is one of those attractions that I was, talking about in terms of deep historical meaning. One could say that Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is the oldest attraction in the park. Obviously, it's an opening day attraction just like Snow White and Peter Pan are, but it's older than both of those because this was the very first built attraction. Mr. Toad's was the first attraction they built back in Burbank. They put everything together, the vehicles and the track and everything. They did all the testing in Burbank before they did the other dark rides. And even better than the fact that it's arguably the oldest attraction at Disneyland, it's still pretty much exactly the same, exactly like it was 70 years ago. They've made a few modifications that wouldn't look exactly like it did, but it does more or less the same barn doors, the same characters, the same stories, everything. And it's the reason why Toads might be, one of my, obviously it is one of my favorites. It's right up there. I love Mr. Toads. This is my go-to attraction. Anytime I'm not sure what I want to do, I go to Toads. If I say, I got time for one attraction, I'm just gonna do one attraction and then do some work or something like that. I just want to get a little bit of Disney. That's where I go. I go to Mr. Toads. For me, that's the connection. It's that one or Casey Jr. I absolutely love Casey Jr. Circus Train. It's a very easy attraction to enjoy. It doesn't take long to cycle, especially when they're running two trains. I'm not sure, this is a heck of a queue right now actually, because it's not that busy today. My goodness, but I absolutely adore Casey Jr. It is the most adorable, cute, lovely ride that, again, is very Disney. I wish there was a train right now I could show you. Here we go. Casey Jr. Whew. You can sit in a cage. You can sit in one here. You can sit in the back seat. You can even go backwards. These guests face the outer direction. They don't face this direction. It's great. I love Casey Jr. Another one of those attractions where if I could do nothing else that day, I'm hitting that attraction. Right across the way while we keep going, that's Red Rose Tavern. That's the Beauty and the Beast themed dining location. Beauty and the Beast themed food, formerly the Village House, which was Pinocchio themed. Beautiful, beautiful interiors there at the Red Rose Tavern. They often sell a variety of different foods. They cycle the menu there. Right now they're serving Fantasy Fold something or other. They're like that sandwich you get at Taco Bell. I can't remember the name of it. Crunch Wrap Supreme. Right. You get a flatbread pizza, beast burger, that kind of thing. And then before we leave Fantasyland, because we've now made a circle, there's one more dark ride, Pinocchio's Daring Journey. This is another one of those where people assume that Pinocchio's Daring Journey has been here forever. It was built along with Peter Pan and Snow White and Toads, but it was not. This was part of the Fantasyland 2.0 when this used to be the Mickey Mouse Club Theater, like the Mickey Mouse Club would perform right here. But that changed decades ago and is now Pinocchio's Daring Journey, another classic dark ride. Now, I don't know, there's stories to tell here. I'm kind of sure how much I can get into this, but where I'm standing right now, I'm in between Snow White and Peter Pan. Is where King Arthur Carousel used to be. Guests would come out of the castle, they'd cross the bridge, come out of the castle, and they would be greeted immediately with King Arthur Carousel. It would be right here. And then where King Arthur Carousel is where the Mad Tea Party is, which we haven't gotten to yet, but the Mad Tea Party was there. And then beyond that was the pirate ship where you can get a tuna sandwich, chicken of the sea. But it was a very cramped little alleyway of space here. It was very narrow. And so they took out the carousel, they moved it to this spot, and then they moved the Mad Tea Party over to the other side, which we're heading to, and then they brought in Dumbo. They took out the pirate ship that you could go and get into and get on and then buy a tuna sandwich. They took out the pirate ship that was right here and replaced it with Dumbo, and then moved right here. There used to be, the Mad Tea Party was right here, and they moved it over here. And over here is where this is where I get worried. Like, how far am I going to get into this? They used to have an actual like Autopia type, kids Autopia, midget Autopia. Hi. This space here was before they had the Matterhorn and everything. You could find another version of the Autopia here, but today it's the Mad Tea Party, one of my favorite Disneyland attractions of all time. Very easy attraction to get into and out of. It's one of those fallback attractions. If you're never sure what to do when you're here at Disneyland, well, actually Fantasyland, the whole land, really, Fantasyland is like that. It's all these attractions are pretty easy to get in and out of. There's Anna again. She's holding court. I wonder if she met Snow White. We're going to take a quick right turn over here before heading to Fantasyland B. I'll show you Alice in Wonderland. Also was not here on opening day, but it's still a legendary dark ride. This queue always looks scarier than it really is. It's actually kind of a breeze. You'll notice Alice in Wonderland, there's a path to its left, and then Matterhorn on our left of that, which we'll get into later. You can take this path all the way back down to the hub. This path would take you back to the middle of the park, basically, and then you could redirect yourself from there. So if you're ever like, I'm in Fantasyland and I want to get to someplace else, I want to get to Frontierland, I want to get to Adventureland, come to this side, come here to Alice in Wonderland, head up that path, and you're at the hub again, and then you can redirect yourself via the hub spokes. But we're going to do a 180 and head into Fantasyland B. I call this Fantasyland B because it's very distinct and separate from all those dark rides, Casey Jr. and all that stuff. Storybook Land also, which is basically the same space. Storybook Land is a boat ride on the water that travels through the same space that Casey Jr. does. The two attractions sort of coexist, but one's a boat ride and one is a train ride. This is pure magic, pure delight. There's not enough words to express how wonderful Storybook Land is, be that for you, or for a child, or for an adult. I often go on this attraction by myself with absolutely no regret or judgment on my own part. I never feel guilty or dumb for doing it. It is a magnificent, wonderful attraction. Guest board right here. They get in these little boats, 10 or 12 at a time, and then you have a cast member skippering, narrating the journey through you and take you through a miniature version of all the Disney stories, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, the Three Little Pigs, Aladdin, you name it, they're all in there. It's wonderful. Another overlooked, my gosh, we keep running into Anna. One of the most overlooked attractions at Disneyland.
My complaint was that I don't like that.
But back to Fantasyland B. So you kind of leave this, and you're like, okay, here's this other Fantasyland section back here, which is basically just Small World. The little seating area. There's on the other side of this is raised area where people can sit and watch the parade or just relax. They call that the Small World Mall. On the other side of that, there's another seating area that's along the river that's under the monorail and Biotopia. But it's Small World here ahead of us, the gift shop, and then to the left is the Fantasyland Theater, where they often host big productions, big shows. Most recently, Mickey and the Magical Map. They'll hold festivals here, like for Pixar Fest or during the holidays. Presently, they're using it for Sweethearts Night, which I think tonight is last night, and then later on it'll be for Celebrate Gospel. It's a rotating thing. Hi guys. But it's meant to be for a big show like Mickey and the Magical Map. You may have noticed, by the way, that Small World is closed. It's down for a 3-month refurb, so we can't really show you much of that. Oh, I should also mention, as we approach Toontown, which has gone through a major renovation a couple years ago, that's one of the other stations up there for the Disneyland Railroad. If you want to take a train, you can take that path up there and board the train there, which is also closed, as we mentioned, at the outside of the show. But that's the third of 4 stations. We haven't found the 4th one yet. But we're entering Toontown, which a couple years ago got a major update and really made this place so much more better. Is that even proper English? So much better than it was. Toontown 1.0. I was not a fan of. I was not crazy about it. But Toontown 2.0, that's a little bit all right. For a couple of reasons, you can hear the music. That's one of them. They've changed the music loop in here, which is just absolutely positively delightful. It's a very positive, affirming sound, very Disney. You can hear the birds chirping all over the place. Second reason, the addition of Runaway Railway, fantastic, love that. And then they've kind of sort of freshened up things a little bit. They've added, they've modified Goofy's Playhouse or Play Yard. Actually, they've added this tree. That tree's not new, but the little play area here is new. And then Goofy's Play Yard. This is great for kids right here. Goofy's How to Play Yard. They can go nuts in there for hours. But I absolutely love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. When it opened, it quickly became one of my favorite attractions. And the great thing about it is that it's easy to enjoy because the ride system is so efficient. It just gets in there and out of there quickly. It cycles so many guests. I never worry about waiting too long. I never worry about an hour wait or anything like that in here. It's always easy to go. Love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Top 5 attraction for me personally. I absolutely love it. Oh, we should go check out Roger Rabbit. Now, back in Toontown 1.0 days, Roger Rabbit was the anchor attraction. Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, classic dark ride with a twist, kind of literally. It's a dark ride, but then there's a thing like what you have on Mad Tea Party where you can make your vehicle twist and spin. They basically put that apparatus on the ride vehicle so you can make your car turn around in circles. It can be competitive if you're with somebody else or nauseating if you're like me, but that's the twist on this dark ride. Very fun attraction, very busy. It's one of the more secretly difficult attractions to navigate because you can't see it's all hidden inside that building. You have no idea what's going on there. And it's usually a pretty long wait. Right now it's 35 minutes. But as I mentioned, it was the anchor attraction. This whole land, Toontown, was ostensibly meant to be the Toontown that exists in the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That film is a mix of live action and animation, and at the end you get to go to Toontown. The lead character does, Bob Hoskins. He goes to Toontown as a live action person and mixes in with all the cartoons, and that's kind of where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in that space, but I don't really know if that resonated. And maybe because they didn't go far enough, all they did was build Roger Rabbit, but they didn't give you any more of that feeling, that experience like you're in Toontown. So it just became a place for kids to run around. They had character houses like Goofy's house and Donald's boat. This hasn't changed. Donald's boat was always here, and they left it here. Same thing for Goofy's house, but they changed the interiors a little bit at Goofy's. You can no longer go in the boat. You used to be able to go up and into Donald's boat. There you cannot any longer. And then there's Chippendale's Gadget Coaster, as they call it today. For some reason, they decided it used to be called just Gadget Coaster, but Disney said, no, that's not good enough. It's got to be Chippendale's Gadget Coaster. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe because people didn't know who Gadget was. But that's a little kid's roller coaster. Anybody can ride. There's basically no minimum height here. I think it's like a foot. Just don't be an infant. But anybody can ride, and it's great. I love it. I love Gadget's Coaster. It's so much fun. As we go around this little sort of hub type space right here, we've come all the way to the back side of the property. There's a little grassy park type space. You can meet Mickey Mouse in his house right here. Usually about a 30 to 40 minute wait to meet Mickey, but in the process you go through his entire house and all the little stages and setups that they have back there. It's really charming. It's really adorable. It's fun to be there, and you can actually just go through the house. You don't have to meet Mickey. You can go into the house and then leave before the actual Mickey meet and greet, and you come out his garage right over there where that cast member is, right down this way. And then right next door to Mickey's house is Minnie's house. This one you do have to meet Minnie. If you want to wait in this line, you can go through her house. Her house is not quite as involved or as cavernous as Mickey's house is, but there are things to look at. She has a kitchen and a bedroom, but you can take your photo up with Minnie right there. She's right there on the other side of the door. This is usually a 20 or 30 minute wait at least. Mickey's house especially is a great way to entertain kids for a while, for a good 30, 40 minutes. And then they get the reward at the end of meeting Mickey Mouse. It's a very, very good experience, in my opinion. It's a very fun, very Disney experience, and a great addition to this land. And I almost forgot, one thing they did change quite a bit was the food service here at what is now, I don't know what they call this. You've got Good Boy Grocers, the market, right? You got Cafe Daisy. It used to be they just sold hot dogs and really bad pizza here. Hi. But they've upgraded the menu here a little bit. They still serve pizza, but it's like a fold over. It's really interesting, very cheesy, very greasy. It's kind of fun. They serve donuts. They've got some specialty beverage for adults. Not adult beverages, but like coffees. That's a picnic time, watermelon lemonade, and a specialty cold brew. Really fun to eat here if you can find a table. It is often the case that it's very busy, very full here. But the food here, it's much more fun. That's also a big upgrade here at Toontown was the food. You know, I just realized I called Bayou Country the only dead end in the park, but this is a dead end also. Toontown is a dead end. You come in, you got to go turn yourself around, and when you leave, you have to turn yourself around and go back out the way you came to get to the rest of Fantasyland. You go back into Fantasyland B, and if you want to go anywhere else, you have to go through Fantasyland B, also towards Fantasyland A, where you can then make your choice about your directions. Back under the train tracks, the Disneyland Railroad, out into Fantasyland B. Actually, I'm going to take you through another little quasi-secret path. If you want to, if it's a little too intense here, which it often is, especially if there's a parade or something, there's a path to its right. It's shrouded in these trees and bushes, and it's kind of hidden from the naked eye. And this path actually takes you directly back to Storybook Land. There it is. And we're back to Fantasyland A. Now from here, as we mentioned before when we were up Alice in Wonderland, we can keep going down this path. And head back to the hub and choose our path from that direction. Say hi to Gepetto while we're at it. Hello, Gepetto. Where's Pinocchio? Did you lose him? Is he in the whale again? No! Why does he keep doing that? I don't know, man. I don't know. He's funny. Good luck finding him. We'll see you. Bye, Gepetto. Or you can go right. I'm trying to collect myself. Or you can go right back into Fantasyland towards Galaxy's Edge. Fantasyland, Galaxy's Edge, Frontierland, the hub, and we're gonna go left to find the Matterhorn, which is also closed. It just closed. This happened in the last 10 minutes or so because when we were walking in here, the attraction was open. So this is a very new development, but this is the Matterhorn, legendary attraction, synonymous with the Disneyland experience. And whenever I come here, I always have to put this in the frame. I've always got to put the threshold and a mountain in the same shot. There's no words for how I feel about the Matterhorn. I think it's amazing. People like to, you know, talk about how rough it is. It's bad for your back. They joke, you know, I can't ride that ride anymore. It's just too, I don't care. I don't care. You could put all that on Matterhorn. I don't care. This is synonymous. It is the definition of going to Disneyland. You know, it's got Walt's fingerprints all over it. They don't build attractions like this anymore. If the Matterhorn fell down, they couldn't rebuild it. I'll just go ahead and add that. The Matterhorn that exists today could never exist again. It could never. And it's going through some things. You know, it's old. It's being held together by duct tape in a lot of ways. But if for some reason they decided that it was, you know, inoperable, they couldn't tear it down and rebuild it because modern building codes wouldn't allow it. They would be twice the size. The base of it would be twice the size of this today. But it's got legendary status for me and quite a lot of other Disneyland enthusiasts. 2 tracks, 2 loading sides. There's the Tomorrowland side where we're on now, or the left side. And then on the other side of the little gazebo over there on the right side is the Fantasyland side, or the right side. They are different tracks. They have different turbulences. It is widely considered that the Tomorrowland side is faster and rougher. The Fantasyland side is a little smoother, but not as rough. Although there are parts of that attraction that are very fast at the very end. The very last dip towards when you're on the far Fantasyland side is quite quick in my opinion. But like I said, I don't have enough words. You need a poet, and that's certainly not. I am not a poet. You need a poet to describe how I feel about the Matterhorn, what the Matterhorn means to the Disneyland Resort. I'm very fond of it. It is the fact that it's one of the busiest attractions. You can still routinely see 45, 50, 60-minute waits here at the Matterhorn, and it's been around for as long as it has. And how basic it is, how not modern it is. It's a tubular track, which, by the way, when they built it, it was the first of its kind, the tubular track. That's something else that's well known for. It's well known for that, and the fact that there's a basketball hoop in the top of the mountain or somewhere in there. I didn't really get into that, but just like you said, you need a poet to describe the Matterhorn. So this is the bottom of the Tomorrowland side. If you land here, and then it transitions you into, or starts to transition you into Tomorrowland. There's a Finding Nemo sub about ready to go into the dark ride portion of that attraction. We'll go ahead and talk about that now because it makes more sense as I'm here. The Nemo Lagoon, or Finding Nemo sub's loading area, is on the other side of the lagoon over there in Tomorrowland proper. There's two portions to this show. It's a long attraction. It's like 20 minutes, and you spend maybe the first third of it out here in this lagoon, and they're showing you. It's very practical. It's not no projections, no anything. It's guys, animatronics. Not really animatronics, but mannequins, I guess. I don't know. But it's a display down here. You can kind of see the track right there, and then on each side of that, they're doing a show and telling you about the undersea life and what it's like in the reefs. I'm not sure which reef they reference. I can't remember now, but it's a really well produced show that happens down here. And then once you go into the waterfall, that's when you enter the dark ride portion with the projections, with the Finding Nemo influence. I mean, everybody agrees that this is the cool part. Hi. When it was the submarine voyage, and even the dark ride portion was practical also. There's a lot of fun and fanciful things you can learn there, all very educational. I wish there was some way to bring that back, but here we are. We got the projected portions of Finding Nemo, trying to create synergy with a Disney film. This path will bring us to another intersection. We're greeted first with the monorail track. That's the monorail track right there that goes all around Tomorrowland, downtown Disney. You can turn right. That'll take you back in the same direction as we were talking about before, towards Alice in Wonderland. So if you want to get back to the hub, to reroute yourself and to get to the the spoke again, you go down that path and make a left. If you want to go to Tomorrowland, you make a left up here, and pass under these historic monorail tracks right here. To our right, that is the Galactic Grill. It's a dining location here in Tomorrowland, one of two. They serve cheeseburgers and chicken tenders, a salad, kind of basic fare. And like Rancho del Zocalo that we saw over there in Frontierland, one of the more spacious table locations, there are seats and tables everywhere. There's tables out here around the backside. You can see on the other side over there, obviously here in frame, and then on the other side of the rails over there, up on the riser there as well. Lots and lots of tables and chairs here at Galactic Grill. And yet still, it is often difficult to find a place to eat here. That's how popular this place can be. People love cheeseburgers and chicken tenders. Back to the attractions at Tomorrowland. There again is Finding Nemo. We saw this from the other side of the lagoon over there. This is the entrance where guests can board Finding Nemo. Gets a lot of grief, Finding Nemo does. People like to complain about it. I still kind of like it. It's got its place. It's a very fun Disney attraction, and it's not you can't ride this anywhere else. You literally cannot ride this anywhere else. I think they have something like that in Hong Kong, I think, but here in the States, no. They would never build this again here in the States. Turning right. We are now on the backside of Galactic Grill. This is that table seating I was just telling you about. They got lots of it here. as we are now in the heart of Tomorrowland. We can go straight towards Space Mountain up there, but we're going to make a left first to find Autopia back here in the corner of Disneyland and Tomorrowland. Guess we'll enter right here. Let's take a peek in there real quick. It's experiencing a very low impact day. There's nobody in the queue right now. It's kind of incredible for it being in the middle of the day. It's very windy today. Crowds are light. But you got 4 lanes of traffic here, and they split you up between the left side and the right side. Those stairs to handle these 2 lanes. Those stairs are those 2 lanes. Queues up there. This is one of the original opening day attractions, and that I hope never goes away. I know it's noisy and it's gas, and you know, people don't like that as well. They do a lot of complaining here. Things that they like or don't like, or whatever. But for me, for my money, it's more about the experience. How Disney is the experience. Because we come to Disneyland to feel a certain kind of way. I don't come to Disneyland to feel thrilled necessarily, like I would if I wanted to go to Magic Mountain. Right? I'm there, Magic Mountain, to be scared, to be thrilled on a roller coaster. I come to Disneyland to feel a different kind of way, to be sent into a time and place, to feel some kind of magic. And I don't feel like Autopia gets enough credit for being that kind of attraction. Autopia is magic, especially if you bring your kid. My daughter loves the Autopia. You ask her, do you want to go on Autopia? Yes, she says, I want to go on Autopia. I feel like this is a correct opportunity, a correct moment to ask if you guys are enjoying this show and want to show your support. We do have a Patreon. You can help support the channel by going to patreon.com/freshbake and sponsoring us for however much you see fit. There is a free version of Well if you want to kind of get an idea how active we are. There's that as well. But we put up content there on that channel that is exclusive to our Patreon members, and hopefully you have a chance to help show your support. And if you do, thank you very much. Fresh Bake. Which takes us next to Space Mountain, right ahead of us. It's actually kind of a hub of sorts right here. Galactic Grill, Space Mountain. To its left is Alien Pizza Planet. To its right is Star Trader, one of the most magnificent gift shops in the park. And then back, you know, we could turn around or go around the old Astro Orbiter station, People Mover station, and head towards the exit of Tomorrowland, or the entrance depending on where you're coming from. Astro Orbiter that way. But we'll start here at Alien Pizza Planet. Very bad food. I don't know what else to say. They serve pizza and pasta. It's all very average, not very good. The name says Pizza Planet as if to suggest it's Toy Story themed. It is not. It looks like it should be, but it is not. It doesn't look very much like Toy Story or Pizza Planet in there at all. And the food is, like I said, only okay at best. Space Mountain, obviously, legendary, classic, one of a kind, one of the greatest things to do here at the Disneyland Resort. This is how you enter, right through here. With respect to any sort of guidance, tips, advice for enjoying Space Mountain, I'm afraid I don't really have anything good for you. It's very difficult attraction to get into. Rope dropping. That's it. That's all I got. Rope dropping. Even if you get Lightning Lane, if you don't get the Lightning Lane early enough, those will sell out, and you get here at noon, and the next rope drop is for 8 p.m. tonight. So it's just, you either are okay with waiting an hour, or you rope drop it, or you don't go. All 3 of those scenarios are worth it. It's when it gets to be over an hour, like 90 minutes, then you start to wonder. But I would wait 60 minutes for Space Mountain, especially if I don't come to the park very much. It's an absolute amazing experience. I love this attraction. It's one of the single best, most historic roller coasters I think that has ever existed. And it's not even that fancy. It's just a basic roller coaster, but it's the setting. It's the way that Disney puts it on that makes it so amazing. And for those who might be migrating from Magic Kingdom in Florida, your Space Mountain has 2 tracks. Ours has just the one track to load. although it's still remarkably efficient. They hustle so fast inside that building. They process guests in and out of those rockets with amazing efficiency. I'm impressed every time I go through there. It's incredible how good they are at their jobs. So even though they're only running the one track versus two, it is still a very, very efficient attraction. One final bit. I keep thinking of things to talk about with respect to Space Mountain. Space Mountain is the reason why we don't, in my opinion, is the reason why we don't have Tomorrowland 3.0. Tomorrowland, when it was built, it was supposed to be an image of the future. And then Walt quickly realized that's foolhardy. You can't keep up. The future is far too fast. The future gets here way too quick. They could never keep up with the future. So it's going to wind up becoming, he's the first to put up with the word Yesterland. Tomorrowland is Yesterland. And it will always be until they change what Tomorrowland is supposed to be. Having said that, so they're supposed to be building another Tomorrowland, right? People want a new Tomorrowland, new attractions, replace that, replace this, replace that. They want a whole new thing. They want this to look different, be different somehow than it already is, which I disagree with in a lot. Hi guys, how are you? Hi. But Tomorrowland, Space Mountain is the reason, because how do you close Tomorrowland? How do you build a new Tomorrowland and keep Space Mountain? You can't. So whenever they talk about, okay, we're going to replace all these things, the whole conversation starts and ends with everything is up for grabs except for Space Mountain. But it's difficult because it's kind of interconnected. All these things are sort of touching each other. And then what, you leave Space Mountain open while you mess with the rest of the land? I feel like Space Mountain is one of the reasons why they just leave it the way it is, because it's such an anchor here in this land, in this space. It's such a part of Tomorrowland. Space Mountain is Tomorrowland, that they're one and the same. So I think they're just going to keep going for as long as they can. I know there are plans for a new Tomorrowland someday, but how they solve the Tomorrowland's problem and how they solve the People Mover problem, which we'll talk about here in just a sec. And by that I mean right now. That's the People Mover track right there. Closed for decades, never coming back. Just going to put that out there in this guided tour of Disneyland. People Mover ain't ever coming back, at least not this People Mover. The only way it ever comes back is if they do demo Tomorrowland and build something new up from the ground, from scratch. Then you might get a new People Mover, but they're never bringing this thing back. Listen to that music. I love Tomorrowland. Why would you want this? It's great. Tomorrowland's great. I'm sorry. So as we exit, that's the entrance from the hub, is this direction. We're going out the indoor, basically. We are exiting. Astro Blasters on the right. That's the Buzz Lightyear, Toy Story themed shooting attraction. Fairly popular. Star Tours. Been here for a while, since the 70s. Very easy attraction to get into these days. Not very popular anymore. Star Tours. And then Astro Orbiter out here at the entrance to Tomorrowland. Very easy attraction to get in and out of as well. That attraction used to be on that platform over there, on the other side of these People Mover tracks, where that weird space junk is up there. That used to be the home up there. That used to be the home of that attraction. You used to have to go up there to ride. Incredible, right? You still can do that. They still have it like that at Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom. Oh, we didn't get to talk about this when we were doing Fantasyland, but while we're here in Tomorrowland, we'll exit right here next to Pixie Hollow. It's closed right now. They're updating the meet and greet, but they've recently opened up this area down here. But that to the right of Tomorrowland, in between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, well, technically it is Fantasyland. It intersects those two lands. But this is Pixie Hollow, and you can meet Tinkerbell eventually, soon, on the other side of those walls. Delightful place. Very lovely. And that brings us back out. Look it, we're back at the hub. We're at the hub to Disneyland, where we pretty much began. The magic of Disneyland, right? I don't know how close other parks approximate that setup. I feel like this is still, hey guys, how are you? I feel like this is still pretty unique to Disneyland. Even the Epic Universe Theirs is a straight line. They're running a straight line down the middle of the whole park, and then it branches off to the left and branches off to the right. This is more of a circle. And we're back at the hub, and this is where we started our day. We chose Adventureland. We went out Adventureland into New Orleans Square, took a right around the rivers of America towards Bayou Country, past Bayou Country into Galaxy's Edge, took a loop around Galaxy's Edge and came back out to Frontierland, made our way back into Frontierland. This way we actually exited through this entrance right here at Frontierland, and then made a left, messed around inside Princess Fantasy Fair for a little while, through the castle, into Fantasyland A, took a right back that way towards Small World and Fantasyland B, had to come back around because it's a dead end at Small World, towards Matterhorn, which, can we get that in frame? Yes, we can. From Small World to Matterhorn. Matterhorn connects to Tomorrowland over here. We went into the backside of Tomorrowland, through Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, Star Tours, Astro Orbiter, and back out into the hub, where we can choose another land. If you want to keep going, you can. Keep going, go right back into Adventureland if you want. Or, as we're going to do, head back down Main Street. There are so many ceremonial moments at Disneyland, things that are like, that just make you feel present and aware that you're at Disneyland. This Main Street is ceremonial for me. When you get here, you have to walk up Main Street. You have to go in this direction, be that on foot or through a Main Street vehicle. And when you leave, you have to leave back down Main Street the way you came in. I absolutely love this setup. I think it's peak theme park. It's peak. Nothing's been made that has challenged it or made it better. I've yet to see Epic Universe and how that plays out, but we'll see. I'm actually going, so we'll see about that. Maybe we'll do a walkthrough of that as well. But as for this show, we'll take this down Main Street and exit and call it a day. If you like this show, we did a show very much like this. It was a guided tour as well, but it was a little more technical, more about cues and how to tips and tricks for tackling each and every attraction, about maximizing your opportunity on standby, a few tips and tricks along that route. Check that out. It's a little bit more advanced. It's not a beginner's level. It's at least middle or moderate experience level. But if you take what you want from this one, learn from it, and then apply that video to maybe make your experience at Disneyland just a little bit better. And then thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another.